कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय श्री राधे गोविंदा राधे गोविंदा जय श्री राधे गोविंदा जय श्री गौर निताई जय श्री गौर निताई जय श्रीला प्रभुपादा जय श्रीला प्रभुपादा हरि बोल।
हरे कृष्णा। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिने इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Jai Shri Radhe Govinda, Jai Shri Gauranitai, 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 Jai Shri Gauranitai, Jai Shri La Prabhupada, 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 Jai Shri La Prabhupada. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Rupa Mataji and Jigna Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. You all can unmute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. 18 days, Understand Gita in 18 days by ISKCON Mangaluru. Okay, let's start. Chapter 12. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananan Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dinbandhu Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namaste. Saptakanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishpanasute Devi Pranamami Haripriya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, so name of chapter 11. Chapter 11 name. What is the name of chapter 11? What is the name?
The universal truth.
The universal
Vishwarup
form.
Darshan.
Very nice. Chapter 10.
Vibhuti Yoga.
Bhuti Yoga, very nice. Opulences of the Absolute. Thank you. So, how many opulences are described in chapter 10? Same questions I'm asking everybody. You can write to me in the chat or raise your hand. How many opulences are described in chapter 10 for Krishna? Nobody? How many opulences were described? 122, 65, 6, 10. Wow. All the answers are wrong. 82. 82 opulences are described. Okay, what are the 8 questions that Arjun asked Krishna in chapter 8? Someone who never answered before, then raise your hand or write to me. Who never answered before. Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Mataji, should I speak?
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
What is Brahman? What is Adhyatma? What is Karma? What is Adi Bhuta? What is Adi Deva? What is Adi Yagya? Where does Adi Yagya reside? And how to remember Krishna at the time of death?
7. You told 7, right?
No,
Brahman,
Mataji, 8.
Adhyatma. Is it
Karma?
Brahman?
What is
Brahman?
Karma? Yeah.
Adhyatma?
Adhyatma? Karma? Adi Bhuta? No, first Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, Adi Yagya. Where does Adi Yagya reside? And how to remember Krishna at that time?
Nice. Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes, Vijayam Mataji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. One is Brahma, that is spirit. Then Adhyatma, karma, activity. Then Adibhut, Adidev, Adiyagya, and where the God resides, and how to attain the God at the time of death.
Brahman, Adhyatma, Adi Bhut, Adi Dev, Adi Yajna. Where does Adi Yajna reside?
Yes. And how to obtain the God?
And then karma. You said dharma, but karma.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Perfect. So some people are learning. Thank you. So chapter 12 is called Bhakti Yoga or devotional service. This is the last chapter in the middle third of Bhagavad Gita. From chapter 7 to chapter 12, Krishna describes only pure devotional service. Let's pay our obeisances to Shri Shri Radha Govinda before we proceed. So this is what we did yesterday, Vishwarup Sandarshan Yoga. Arjun requests Krishna to show his universal form. And he gives reasons why he wants to see the universal form again. His illusion is dispelled, but he wants to see the universal form for some reasons. What are those reasons? Yes, if someone can write to me or raise their hands, I'll continue to describe the synopsis. Krishna describes his universal form first, and then he gives vision to Arjun to see the universal form. And Arjun shares his experience and then asks a question to Krishna that who are you? And Krishna replies that time I am. And Arjun offers in prayers. And then he ultimately requests Krishna to please bring back his 400 form and 200 form. And we ended the chapter by saying that a pure bhakti is needed to see Krishna in his 200 form. Bhaktyate Ananya Sakhya. Oh, Mataji, you want to answer once again? Yes, Mataji. What were the reasons?
The first reason was that if someone claims to be God, what he has to show. People can ask him to show. And second was he wanted to glorify Krishna.
Very nice. There are more reasons, but I think I just said. And third is I said that Krishna wanted to encourage Arjun to fight because he's going to show that everyone who's assembled in the battlefield is not going to go back home. Right? Thank you. This is today's chapter, Bhakti over Impersonalism. Arjun is again going to ask question to Krishna. Which worship is more superior? Worship of the impersonal Brahman or worship of the person of your archa, of your personality? And then Krishna describes progressive stages of devotion, and then he describes the qualities that endear one to Krishna. This is the first verse. Arjuna vacha evam satata yukta ye bhakta swam parupashyate ye chapi aksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Arjun inquired, which is considered to be more perfect, those who are properly engaged in your devotional service or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So over here, the word Brahman means the Brahman Jyoti, the impersonal effulgence that comes out of the body of Krishna. In chapter 8, Brahman means the soul. So Brahman has three meanings. One is soul, then is Brahma Jyoti, which comes out from body of the Krishna, from the body of Krishna, and third is material nature, depending on how word Brahman is used. The word Brahman used in context with material nature will be tomorrow in chapter 13. Okay, so Prabhupada describes in the purport of this verse that there are two kinds of transcendentalists. One are personalists and another are impersonalists. So impersonalist, transcendentalists are also called as Jnana Yogis. They're very busy in cultivating the Jnana, the knowledge. The knowledge, and then what do they come to at the end of the cultivation of knowledge? They're meditating, right? What are they meditating on? They're meditating on energy because they believe that God is not a person. So Arjun is asking that whose worship is better? Who's considered more perfect? Properly engaged in your devotional service. So when we use the word service, means that there is a personality, right? How can you serve a light? Can you serve a light? If I give you a candle in your house and I say serve the candle, can you serve the candle? Can you serve the light?
No,
Yes.
no, Mataji.
No, Mataji.
As soon as the word, thank you. As soon as the word service is used, it means that there is a personality. Correct. And then, so that's that those transcendentalists are called as personalists. And impersonalists are the one who are very busy in worshipping the impersonal Brahman of Krishna. So now Arjun is asking whose worship is better. Now the question arises, what makes Arjun ask this question now, that whose worship is better? Because he said, right, that my illusion is dispelled. So let me ask you this. The universal form of Krishna is more near to the personal form of Krishna, which is 200 form, or is it more near to the impersonal feature of Krishna, which is effulgence? Yes. Universal form of Krishna is more near to what?
Personal.
Personal form.
Impersonal.
Impersonal.
So we have difference of opinion. Okay, why don't you raise your hand? So, universal form of Krishna is a concept in which everything that is manifested in the cosmic manifestation, not spiritual, cosmic manifestation, which is manifested and then it will be unmanifested, is shown how everything is resting in the body of Krishna. So what is it more near to? Yes, Mataji, Nimisha, Gugnani.
I just wanted to ask, I raised my hand earlier about impersonal Brahman. Can you explain that? I just wanted to know that. I raised hand earlier only. I just wanted to.
Impersonal Brahman is the light coming from the body of Krishna, the sky, in which the Vaikuntha and the Goloka Vrindavan are situated. Like this Earth planet is rotating in the sky, right?
Mhm.
So similarly, Vaikuntha planets and Goloka Vrindavan are also rotating in the sky, and that sky is called Brahman, the impersonal Brahman. There is no form, just a sky. And that light, that sky is coming from the body of Krishna. So that's impersonal.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, so Mataji has answered many questions. So anyone else, don't be scared to be wrong, because you never know that you can be right too. So what is the universal form of Krishna is more near to impersonal or personal form of Krishna? Yes, Vijaya Mataji also answered. Who can answer? Yes, universal form of Krishna. Kartik Prabhu, would you like to enlighten us? This is impersonal form. Okay, Dr. Prasad
Yes,
Shinoy,
Mataji.
go ahead.
Impersonal
And
form.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, Kartik Prabhu. Yes, Prasad Shinoy Prabhu.
Impersonal form, much closer to impersonal form,
Okay, very nice.
universal
Thank
form.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Vijaya Mataji.
Personal.
How do you say that?
This is the original form. That's it.
Mataji, so
Not
can
the-
you make a dress for the
not
universal
energy.
form of
It is
Krishna?
not
Can
energy
you?
form. It is original form.
The universal form, the Adi Deva of Krishna, is more near to the Bhagwan feature of Krishna or more near to Brahman feature of Krishna?
Bhagavan.
How can you make a dress for Bhagwan for universal form? Can you serve? Person means that you have dimensions, right? You can do some activity. Can you talk to universal form? Okay, so it is more near to the impersonal feature of Krishna. Impersonal, because it's not a form, it's a concept. It's a concept to describe. So impersonal form or Bhagwan feature. So Arjun is asking this question because he is more attached to the personal feature of Krishna. So he wants to clarify his position that whatever he is believing is superior, and Krishna's form as Bhagwan feature is superior to his universal feature. The Vaishnavas are not attached to the universal form at all. They don't worship universal form. You don't see universal form in any of the Vishnu temples. At least in Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, I don't know about other Sampradayas. We don't, because and neither is universal form given much importance, because it is a concept. That form is inside the body of Bhagwan feature of Krishna. Yes, Prasad Shinoy Prabhu. So Krishna answers this question himself.
So I have a question, Mataji. So is what you're talking about, the distinction, also somehow relates to the Dvaita and Advaita? Like the Advaita means it's just one form, right? I mean, I am that, and then the Dvaita means you are something, and then you have a superior being that reigns over
Yeah, yes,
everything in
but
this
that,
world.
yeah, yes, that, yes, as Shankaracharya's Advaita and Dvaita philosophy. Yes, but we don't want to go there because it is it can be very confusing for the class. But yes, you can take it like that. Dvaita means non-dual, and Advaita means dual. So there are two things. No, Advaita means non-dual. I am sorry, and Dvaita means dual. Yes, but Prabhupada explains that Mayavadis are actually Dvaita. They're not Advaita because they're separating Krishna from his energy. They're saying that Krishna assumes a human form when he comes to earth and then he becomes energy again when he goes back, right? This is what they say. You're muted.
Yes, yes, yes. That's
So
exactly what
Prabhupada
it is.
explains that that's wrong. They claim to be Advaita, but they are Dvaita. They're separating Krishna. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna's body, Krishna's gross body, subtle body, and soul, everything is same. That is the meaning of the word absolute. That there is no duality. It's absolute. Yes, that concept can be confusing. But if you remind me at the end of the class, I can give you a reference where you can read it more. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, Krishna. Okay, so Krishna continues. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Maya Veshya Manoye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayo Pretas Te Me Yuktatmata Mataha. The blessed Lord said, he whose mind is fixed on my personal form, always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith, is considered by me to be most perfect. So Krishna considers a person, the devotee who is a personalist, who worships the personal form of Krishna to be most perfect, not even any room left for more perfect or perfect. Okay, so the universal form of Krishna, we can't relate to Krishna like this. Universal form of Krishna is included in 400 form of Krishna, which is also in turn included in the original Bhagwan feature or 200 form of Krishna. Remember yesterday's chapter, Krishna after winding up the universal form, he shows his 200 form. And after winding up his 200 form, he shows his 400 form. And after winding up the 400 form, he shows his 200 form, which means that the 400 form and universal form are actually resting in the original Bhagwan feature of Krishna. Clear or is it confusing? This can be explained in many ways. Clear or is it confusing?
Clear, Mataji.
Very clear.
Okay.
Very clear.
Okay, thank you. If it is not clear, please ask again. But this is the destination of an impersonalist. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such person engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. So the impersonalists are also on their way to achieve Krishna, but they are doing it in a very, very difficult manner. And it may not happen in one life, because Krishna himself says it, right? Earlier, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, Gyanvan Mam Prapatyante. So after many, many births and many, many deaths, one who is in Gyan or knowledge, Mam Prapatyante, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Actually, that person also surrenders to Krishna, but that devotee is very rare. So after many, many births and many, many deaths, person who are meditating on the impersonal feature of Krishna will also achieve Krishna. But the sad thing is that they have to go through many, many births and many, many deaths. But if I make a determination to realize Krishna in his Bhagwan feature in this life, I go to Krishna at the end of this life. I don't need to come back. That Krishna said many times in chapter 8, right? So many times. Surely you will come to me. Here also. This is another reason why Krishna is discouraging impersonal worship. Klesho adhika raste sham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham deva vadbhir avapyate. For those whose minds are attached to unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So if you study the life of the people who are actually inclined to the impersonal feature, or want to do meditation and want to do the engaged in jnana, the Mayavadi or the impersonalist, which are of many, many classes, then you study their life. They're very, very difficult. They have to undergo a lot of trouble. They cannot meet their families again. They are not related to the people in the world as they were before they took the so-called diksha or sannyas. And then they don't dress up in a very lavish manner. They don't, I think they don't even take bath because they don't want to kill any living entity. They don't cook food. They don't wear shoes. Oh my God, there's so many things that they don't do. And what do they get at the end of not doing so many things? The list of not doing is so big. And what do they achieve? What do they achieve? They achieve at the end of the day an impersonal feature or a place in the sky. But that's not that's very difficult for a conditioned soul who is embodied from time immemorial. So Bhakti Yoga is simple. It's very simple. What does Bhakti Yoga say? Prabhupada talks about it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, eat Krishna Prasadam, chant Hare Krishna, and dance on Hare Krishna. And then you go back to Krishna. That's what we do in temples. We cook Krishna Prasadam, lavish Raj Bhog for the deities, and then we distribute it, and then we dress up the deities in the most attractive manner with so many flowers. Like if whoever was there in the beginning of the class, whoever saw the slideshow that Kartik Prabhu shows from Mayapur, from West Virginia, New Vrindavan, you saw those deities, right? How nicely, what flower arrangements they have. Radharani's hair, Radharani's ears, Radharani's hands, Krishna's lotus feet, so many nice. The impersonalists don't do all that. They are deprived of everything because they think Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. That's their ultimate goal. Brahman is Sat. So what is that Brahman? Brahman is that the sky. So that's Satya and Jagat is Mithya, or this material world is false. So Prabhupada brings up an important point that we see then that those Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes open hospitals, or they open orphanages, or they open schools. But then you just said that this world is false, right? They just said that Jagat is Mithya. Then why are you coming back to the Mithya world and doing these activities when you said it's Mithya? So they are themselves very, very confused. And we get their references many, many places. Actually, ultimately, no one can really stay fixed on impersonal worship for a long time, because we are in need of association. Imagine that you're left alone and you have to sit all day and meditate. Okay. And then the other aspect is that you are working with the devotees. You're engaged in activities. You have to go for book distribution. You have to cook for Krishna. You have to, in Gitanagari, we take care of Krishna's cows. Or there's so many activities. You have to dress the deities. There's so many activities. Which one sounds more engaging? You don't have to please me. Be honest. Some people may say meditation is more engaging. Which one is more easy? Sit and meditate on light, or do something?
Activities, definitely
Devotional
activities.
service.
Activities. So, and this is called as Cheshta Rupa Bhakti. Okay, nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Pure devotional services divided into 3 categories: sadhana bhakti, bhav bhakti, and prema bhakti. So these activities come under the category of sadhana bhakti, where one is actually doing something for Krishna. Okay, so Krishna has already rejected the impersonal worship as being the superior. That's what Arjuna asked. Yes, and then he continues. Ye tu sarvani karmani maisanasya mat paraha ananyeneva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate tesham aham samudharta mrityu sansara sagarat bhavamina chirat partha mai aveshita chetasam. For one who worships me, giving up all his activities onto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service. So engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Pritha. For him, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So this is the advantage of becoming Krishna conscious, that my deliverance from the ocean of birth and death becomes Krishna's responsibility. And what is my responsibility? To worship him, to think of him, to serve him. And that's easy. It is easy. Rupa Goswami Prabhupada gives 2 examples in explaining that how easy it is. One example he gives is that of a mother. Okay, there's a mother, and then the mother has a small baby. So let's say the baby is somewhere else and mother is washing clothes of the baby. So as soon as she looks at the cloth, the small sock or small dress of a child, she's thinking of the child, even though the child is not there. But because she's working for the child, she's thinking of the child all the time, right? This is meditation, right? Whoever is mother or father can relate to it. Or people take
Yes,
photographs
Mataji.
of their children, right, to their office so that they can keep thinking about the child, right? So that's one way of because they're working for the child, they can think of the child. So because if we work for Krishna, we can think for Krishna very easily, very easily. And the second example, Rupa Goswami Prabhupada said this over 550 years ago, that it's still valid and will always be valid. That a married lady, second example is this, a married lady is married and she has a house and she has a husband and children and everything, but then she has a paramour and then she's very attached to the paramour. So but she doesn't want to tell it to anyone, so she is going to be very outwardly very nicely engaged in serving the members of the family, serving the house. The house should look spick and span, no one should doubt, but in the heart of hearts she's always thinking that when will I meet my paramour, when will I meet my paramour. So like that, one has to become attached to Krishna. Outwardly, it could be anything, but inside, it's always like, I would like to be engaged in the devotional service of Krishna without deviation. Now, Krishna actually wants us to, because it's a relationship, right? Relationship is something like two people dancing, and their steps have to match. So Krishna also wants to match the steps of a living entity, and he adjusts himself. Krishna adjusts himself so much to get us back. So next few verses, we're going to talk about Krishna's adjustment. That if you can't do this, then because he said, fix your mind on me. So if you can't do this, then what can you do? If you can't do that, then what can you do? So here you go. Mai eva mana adastva mai buddhim niveshaya nivashiyashyasi mai eva ata urdhvam na sanshayah. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. So this is Ananya Bhakti, that the person's mind is fixed and the intelligence is engaged in the worship of Krishna. Something like what Prabhupada did, right? If you have a difficulty in understanding any difficult subject matter, just think of Prabhupada. That's what I do. Something what Prabhupada did, right? Fixing his mind upon me and engaging intelligence in Krishna. Prabhupada was not thinking of something else individually or someone else individually. He was always engaged in worshipping Krishna somehow or the other. So like that, if somebody is determined and has so much of conviction and sincerity and faith, then Krishna will help. Then they will live in Krishna, and that's called Ananya Bhakti, without deviation to any other subject matter. This deviation is distraction or deviation is discussed in the definition of the pure Bhakti, that Anya Abhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Adi Anavritam Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Ruttama. So there is no other desire. Sorry, Anya Abhilashita Shunyam, zero, void, empty. No other desire is there in the heart of a pure devotee. Jnana Karma Adi Anavritam. The pure devotee can take help of a jnana and karma, but only until they become Krishna conscious. Not like I take shelter of jnana, then I think that impersonal form of Krishna is more superior. No. Or I take shelter of karma, but then I see, okay, I can work in so many nice manners, and why not I enjoy myself? Why should work for Krishna? No. Okay, so free from everything else, all these distractions is Ananya Bhakti. But if someone can't do that, then what? Then Krishna says, do this. Atha chittam samadhutam na saknoshi mai sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. Maria Arjun, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, you will develop a desire to attain me. This is called Sadhana Bhakti. So people ask a question that why 16 rounds? Why 4 regulated principles? Why not unlimited rounds? Right? So unlimited number of rounds is the goal. That's a goal. That's called Raganuga Bhakti. That one is like driven. But we are not there yet. Okay, so how do we get to that? By actually practicing some discipline. For example, if somebody joins the army, okay, now because they have joined the army, that doesn't mean that they have become the topmost rank, they have achieved the topmost rank in the army, right? They have to still go through a discipline, right or wrong, even though that may be the goal of having the topmost rank. But the minute somebody joins the army, are they on the topmost rank? Yes?
No, Mataji.
No.
So how can we say that somebody who comes to Krishna consciousness, the minute they come to Krishna consciousness, they are already on the Prema Bhakti platform? We cannot say that. Okay, so bhakti is a science. Science means that you can actually do an experiment and you get the same result. You follow the same rules and you get the same result. That's science. Like you know, you apply what you know, and you know what you know, what you get. So in that way, our acharyas have given us the sadhana, the rules and regulations to be followed. Follow 4 regulatory principles. Chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on your beads, minimum 16 rounds in 24 hours time. Minimum, and 1 round is 108. So that way, minimum rounds are fixed up, not maximum. You can go on. And everyone in our sampradaya was keeping account. Srila Prabhupada was keeping account. The Haridas Thakur, who is Nam Acharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu named him as the Acharya of the holy name, was keeping account. So do we think that we are superior to all these devotees, that they were keeping account, but I have no need to keep account? Like, are we so proud? Should we think like that? That we are superior to
Mataji.
those devotees?
No, Mataji.
No.
So
No,
no,
no.
right? So that
No,
question looks very small in front of what's in the background. One can ask a question, that's not a problem, but the intent should be that I can understand, not to challenge. There are some so-called sampradayas out there, especially in Vrindavan, because Vrindavan is so much Mishra Bhakti going on, who say that you don't have to keep fast on Ekadashi, you don't have to chant Hare Krishna in a certain regulated manner. You can just go on doing what you want, and you will become Krishna conscious. Just think of Krishna. How can you think of Krishna if you don't know who Krishna is? Can you think of someone who you don't know? Can you think of something that you really don't know? Yes, if I ask you, think of
No.
X, Y, and Z.
No, Mataji.
No.
So
No,
how can
Mataji.
you? So the way you got to know who Krishna is, then only you can think of Krishna. Actually, Atma knows. Atma knows who Paramatma or who Bhagwan is, but then we are in forgetfulness right now. Okay, if someone can't do Ananya Bhakti, someone can't do Sadhana Bhakti, then what? Then Krishna says, then you do this. Abhyase api asamartho asi mat karma paramo bhava. Madartham api karmani kurvan siddhim avapyashi. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Okay, so work for me. So there are so many activities in Krishna consciousness, and if someone doesn't have an attachment to chanting 16 rounds, following for regulatory principle, somebody's mind is so disturbed that they cannot fix their mind on Krishna, then okay, work for me. Okay, you eat food everybody in this class eat food every day? Yes, no, or maybe so, or somebody surviving on the air.
Yes, Mataji. We eat food.
Everybody's eating food. So Krishna says, when you eat food, you're cooking, right? You'll cook, or you'll cook and eat, or are you going to eat the raw potato? What will you do? Asking a very basic question. Will you cook your food and eat, or
Yeah,
will you
cook and
do
eat.
the raw
It is
vegetable?
cook and eat.
We will cook.
Okay, so Krishna says, and you're working, right? That's a work that you're cooking. So work, just offer your food to Krishna. Okay, that's also working for Krishna. Somebody says, oh, we can't go to temple, we can't do so many things, then you can. You see, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any arrangements. It's called Ahitukiya Pratihata Bhakti. Ahitukiya Pratihata Bhakti means it is not dependent on anything external, and it cannot be checked by anything external. Krishna consciousness is one thing in our life which is not dependent on anything and which cannot be checked by anything. It can only be checked by one thing though, and that is the price of becoming Krishna conscious. That's my favorite question in every class. So far we said that this class is free, but then there is a price to become Krishna conscious. What is the price? Don't say Krishna consciousness is priceless, because it is not priceless. If it was priceless, I wouldn't be asking this question. So what is the price to become Krishna conscious? Gaurav Govardhan Prabhu, you can be on the level of a teacher. So I don't think I'll give you a chance to talk. Sarveshwari Mataji, you can also teach. Yes, anyone, please, what is the price to become Krishna conscious? What price will you pay to become Krishna conscious? Yes, Amrita Mataji.
Devotion,
The chat. Devotion. Okay. Devotion is a result also. Okay, thank you. What else? Prasad Shanai Prabhu, yes. Devotee. To become a devotee. Surrender. Okay. Okay, that's a very thoughtful answer. Thank you. Yes, Nimisha Mataji, what price are you paying?
Let go of ego and your own desires and like that, Mataji, because you have to get into that. To have Krishna inside you, you have to take out the negative from yourself, right? So that could
Well,
be.
it's the other way around actually. It's like if there is a Krishna Surya Sama, Maya and Andhakar. So if there is a dark room and then the sunlight enters the room, so do you really have to work hard to get the darkness out, or just because of the presence of the sun, the darkness is already out?
You're right, Mataji.
So, no, we are understanding. Okay, Tanmay Gorang Prabhuji. Yes, what price are you paying?
Actually, to surrender myself.
Surrender.
to,
Okay, so you're in Prasad Chandra Prabhu's team. Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. Patience is one answer. I'm getting patience. Okay, Anjali. I don't know, Mataji Prabhuji.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, to surrender fruits of
Krishna.
your work.
So Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay, that is one of the ways. That's a price you're going to pay to become Krishna conscious. Okay, thank you. Astha Dogra Mataji. Yes. Yes, Mataji. What price are you paying to become Krishna conscious? Astha Mataji, you have to
Sorry.
unmute.
Yeah, sorry. So I think that whatever I have learned till now, whatever has been taught to me by this world, that this is the way to live life, this is the way to work, this is the way how your like relationships should be. I have to let go of all that like societal expectations and societal reality, and then get into a different mode.
Oh, so that sounds a little. If you allow me, that sounds a little difficult. That's why people don't come to the spirituality, because they think that they have to give up so much. But that's not the reality actually. The reality is param drishtva nivartate. Mataji, I'll give you an example. You bring up a very nice point for all of us. And please answer me for the sake of answering, okay? Because I'm trying to put a point there. So if I give you two chocolates, one is a fruit and nut chocolate and one is a plain chocolate, which one will you choose? Let's say fruit and nut chocolate, plain chocolate. Which one are you choosing?
My favorite is plain chocolate.
So when you choose plain chocolate, are you gonna say, "Oh, I renounce the fruit and nut chocolate," or will you say, "I like this one"? What will you say?
I like this one more.
So that's what Krishna consciousness is. You take Krishna consciousness because you like Krishna consciousness, not like because you have to give up society, give up this, give up that. Nothing you give up, everything becomes better. Everything finds its proper place when you take to something that you like higher. So that's called param drishtva nivartate. Get a superior taste. Okay, very, very nice point, Mataji. Thank you. So I got different answers that we are going to pay the price of karma yoga or surrender or working for Krishna. So Rupa Goswami Prabhupada says that there is one price that we have to pay to become Krishna conscious, and that price is Tatra Lalyam Ekamulyam. Mulyam means price, and Tatra means your. What is the price? Lalyam. Lalyam means intense greed, not greed, intense greed. So the price one has to pay to become Krishna conscious is to be intensely greedy to be Krishna conscious. If I am not becoming Krishna conscious, then I'm not greedy enough to be Krishna conscious. Okay, so intense greed. So I was coming to the point that nothing can be checked. Krishna consciousness is not in the domain of the material world, so it cannot be checked. But it can be checked by one thing, that if I really don't want to be, then I will not be. Like there's a saying, right, that you can wake up a sleeping person, but if the person is pretending to sleep, then how can you wake that person up? Or there's another saying, you can bring a horse to the river, but you can't force it to drink the water. So you got to do something. We got to do something to become Krishna conscious. Okay, it is not dependent. Oh, I don't have good association. Oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. Actually, the real bottom foundation is I don't have a desire. Because if you have a desire, Krishna will bring you. Okay, so yat karoshi yadashnashi yat johoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kantaya tat karushva madarpanam. This is what Krishna said before. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering to me. So this is work for Krishna, right? This is what we are talking about. But if somebody can't even work for Krishna, then what? Then is Krishna going to reject that person? No, Krishna is bending his back so much. because he wants us so much. Athedat apiya saptavasi kartum madhyogamastritaha sarva karma phala tyagam tatha kuru yatatmavan. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness, then try to act, giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. So the person is able, there's so many, is working, but they don't want to work for Krishna. Somehow or other, they don't have that desire to work for Krishna. Then do what? Then Krishna says, then give up the result of your activity. How does a person do that? We have so many examples. There's so many rich people in the world who are so philanthropists. Yeah, they're doing so many acts of charity, philanthropy, altruism, nationalism, so many things they're doing. But they're not doing it for Krishna. If you go to a rich man and they're opening a school, they're not opening a bhakti school, they're opening a school for underserved, right? So Krishna is recommending that. If you can't work for Krishna, then at least give up the result of your activity for the benefit of others. Then what is the result of that? What is the result? That actually purifies the heart, softens the heart. If a person is not giving anything, any charity in their life, anything, in any shape or form, in the form of money or in the form of their time or in the form of giving food or in the form of teaching skill, if they're not giving anything, then the heart is very, very hard. Very, very hard-hearted person. So Krishna cannot enter the hard-hearted place. So this is not work in Krishna consciousness. This is work in general that softens the heart. Okay, that's called karma, sakam karma. There's no word yoga here. Okay, this sakam karma. I work because I'm attached to my work, but I give some result of my work to benefit others. But there is no Krishna. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasaj jnana dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phala. Tyaga is tyaga, shantir anantaram. If you cannot take to this practice, if someone can't even like work for this practice here means 12.10, not 12.11. 12.10. This practice means working for Krishna. Okay. If we can also read this, if you cannot take to this practice or if you cannot work for me, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Right? So if one cannot work for Krishna, then Krishna is saying, okay, then at least try to get the knowledge that you're not the body, you're the soul. But better than knowledge is meditation, because meditation, Ashtanga yoga has some activity. You know, you're sitting in a proper posture, breathing, controlling the breath, doing, setting the eyes in a particular manner, or you know, withdrawing the senses from the external influences and all that. So there's some activity going on, not just reading and remembering. But better than both of these are renouncing the fruits of action, which was 12.11. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Okay, so I just want to show the hierarchy. This is called dhyana, dhyana and dhyana. The progressive stage of devotion, what did we study so far? We studied topmost and direct is Ananya Bhakti, fix the mind in Krishna, on Krishna, and this way we'll live in Krishna. Someone can't do that, then do sadhana bhakti, which is follow the regulatory principles of sadhana bhakti, and result is one develops a desire to it in Krishna. If someone can't do that, then work for Krishna, and the result is that they will come to the stage of devotional service. If someone can't even work for Krishna, then renunciation, cultivation of knowledge, and meditation, and that results in purification, peace, and gradual elevation. But that, Krishna says, is the indirect or lowest stage. Again, answering the question of Arjun, which was asked in the beginning. What was the question that Arjun asked in the beginning? Did we forget? Yes, what was the question that Arjun asked in the beginning of chapter to Krishna? Everyone awake? What was the question? Mataji, I think you can be my substitute teacher. So anyone else, what was the question that he asked in the beginning of the chapter? You can write to me in the chat also. Am I audible? Kartik Prabhu, am I audible? Please tell me. Chalo, I'll ask everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
So what was the question that Arjun asked to Krishna in the beginning of 12th chapter? You guys. Megha Goyal Mataji has saved the show. Impersonal or personal, which is best? So impersonal or personal worship, right? Which worship is better? The impersonal feature or personal feature? Remember now, everyone? Now you remember what was the question?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
So again, he's saying the highest is Ananya Bhakti, which is fixing mind on Krishna. And the lowest is, again, cultivation of knowledge, meditation, and renunciation. Lowest. Okay, it's still a bhakti, so it's still good, better than nothing, but it's not the highest platform. Now Krishna is going to describe activities that endear one to Krishna. If you want to become dear to Krishna, then we have to check whether we are developing all these activities or not. One who is not envious, but is the kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal both in happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-control, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. So very difficult qualities, friend to all living entities. So that means that this person or this devotee has no enemies. No enemies. And this is, I find it very difficult personally, who is equal in both happiness and distress. When somebody is in distress, we often get an advice that just tolerate, the time will pass, right? But no one gives us an advice to be tolerant at the time of happiness, right? Do you get the advice? Let's say that you have a very happy situation in your life, and then someone comes and says, be tolerant. This too shall pass. Be tolerant. Does that happen?
No, Mataji.
Yes.
No.
Never.
So if you have a friend who's telling you be tolerant in your happiness, then it's a good friend of yours. But generally, we are advised to be tolerant in a distressful situation, right? But not in the happiness. But Krishna says that one has to be equal in both happiness and distress, and that is the definition of tolerance. And tolerance is it's a dynamic quality. It's not static. It grows as one becomes more Krishna conscious. Krishna reveals what all things one needs to tolerate. Krishna consciousness is so nice. These are qualities we can discuss for like weeks together. There's so much detail attached. Free from false ego. One Mataji said free from ego. But it's not, there's got to be a prefix, false ego, because soul also has an ego. The meaning of the word ego is identity. What am I identifying myself with? So right now I'm identifying myself with the body or with the mind or with intelligence. But that's false ego. And so what is the true ego? That I am Krishna, Krishna is mine. So Jivara Swarup Hai Nitya Krishna Das. So that true ego, coming from the platform of false to true, not like becoming egoless. That's like impersonalism. Energy, become energy. No. He for whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anxiety, who is steady in happiness and distress, is very dear to me. So his second time he's saying, tolerant in both situations and steady in happiness and distress is very dear to me. Okay, so this is from 6th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. This is 6th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, where Lord Shiva was giving instructions to Mother Sati about Krishna, that how Krishna consciousness is so nice and what is the result of becoming a devotee of Krishna. And because Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava, he was speaking, so all the devotees came to hear Lord Shiva. Narad Muni came, Vyasdev came, so many other devotees from other planets came because they heard Lord Shiva was speaking. But when they came, Mother Sati was sitting in the lap of her husband. No one really bothered because everyone is fixed on the transcendental qualities of Lord Shiva, and this didn't look awkward because this is outward behavior, right? But a devotee of Krishna is more attached to the inward behavior. So what happens is everyone was relishing, and then this Chitraketu was passing on his plane on top of the Kailash. And Chitraketu, when he saw the Lord Shiva speaking and Mother Sati sitting and all the devotees sitting, he smiled. He smiled because he was happy that everyone is sitting and discussing the discourses about Krishna. But Mother Sati took it as an offense that he's smiling because I'm sitting in the lap of my husband. So she cursed him to become a Vritasura. So then he became a Asura. He could have reverted the curse of Sati, but he actually accepted it. And then he became Vritasura, and then he actually was attacked by Indra, and he instructed Indra in the principles of Krishna consciousness. And then Indra was astonished that how can an Asura be such a nice Vaishnava? How can Asura be a devotee? And then his spiritual master Brahaspati tells him that who Vritasura is. And then he cannot kill Vritasura. Then he has to have something called Narayan Kavacha. It's given in 6th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, One has to adorn themselves with Narayan Kavacha, and then when Indra does that, then he is able to kill Vritrasura. Read Srimad Bhagavatam, read. Okay, we are reading so many things in our life, but we are missing out the real thing. So a devotee who is not dependent on ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and who does not strive for some result is very dear to me. Very nice, right? Who's not dependent on ordinary course of activities. It's not like, okay, once I will finish my exam, I will chant Hare Krishna. Okay, once I will have a good house, I will chant Hare Krishna. Okay, once I'll make very good business, I will worship Krishna. So that means our Krishna consciousness is dependent on once I will get this, once I'll get that. But a devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is Krishna conscious all the time, is very dear to Krishna. Okay, that's what this is Ahitukiya Pratihata Bhakti. One who neither grasps pleasure or grief, again, third time, neither grasps pleasure or grief, who neither laments nor desires, who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things is very dear to me. So, matra spashastu kantaya sitoshna sukha dukha daha, right? Agama, apaino, anitya, sam, satikshishva, bharata. Second chapter, 14 verse. Krishna explains this is only by the touch that we feel cold or hot. Water is water, right? Water is water, but in the hot weather, the water is very pleasing, but in the cold weather, the water is very displeasing. So it is by the touch. But when is able to tolerate such things, I am not there, so I can't give this consciousness to anyone. But this is what makes one dear to Krishna, that who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, right? This is very interesting. Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhupada says, Dveta, Bhadra, Abhadra, Sakuli Sama. We think in this life something is very auspicious, something is very inauspicious, right? But Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhupada is saying, Dveta means two or dual. Bhadra means auspicious. Abhadra means inauspicious. He says, actually, these two things, auspicious, inauspicious, Sakuli Sama, they're same things. Ei banda, ei bhala, keval mano brahma. This is good, this is bad, is actually just a concoction of the mind. If it is not attached to Krishna. Okay, if it is not attached to the service of the Krishna, because when we go to buy cloth to stitch dress for Krishna, we do say that this cloth is better, this cloth is not so good. There is that duality there too. Or when we cook something, oh, this dish is better, this dish, there is a duality there too. But that duality is real duality. That because it is attached to Krishna. But if I go and say, oh, this person is so nice and this person is not so nice, then that's that, and it has to nice or not so nice has to do with my own sense gratification. Then that is actually the concoction of my mind, because I haven't really seen the person. And person is the soul, part and parcel of Krishna, and soul is very nice in all circumstances. Anyhow, that's a very high stage. This is Prahlad Maharaj. He was put into so many tribulations by his own father of all the people. Father is supposed to be the most protective person in a child's life, but his own father was putting him and making him go through so many tribulations. But he was tolerant. He was tolerating. He did not, even once we hear in 7th canto Srimad Bhagavatam that he went and complained that why am I going through what I'm going through. Even Mother Kunti prays like that to Pandavas, to Krishna in 1st canto 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And she actually prays that let those calamities happen again and again, because seeing those calamities means seeing you, Krishna. So one who is equal to friends and enemies. Again, if you have a chocolate, you have to share with both of them. Equal friends and equal enemies. Equally. One who is equipoised in honor and dishonor. Heat and cold. Happiness and distress. So with the time, I think. Fame and infamy, who is always free from contamination, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and engaged in devotional service, is very dear to me. So this is what it takes to become dear to Krishna. Now everything here is colorful. It's not that, oh, that means that I have to become equal to friends and enemies. That means that I cannot have a best friend, I cannot have this, I cannot have that. No, doesn't mean that. Equipoised in honor and dishonor, because honor and dishonor pertains to the body or mind. It doesn't touch the soul. But it's very difficult, because we have examples of devotees who were equipoise in honor and dishonor, right? For example, Haridas Thakur was beaten up in 21 marketplaces because he was chanting Hare Krishna, and the local Qazi became very jealous of him. So he gave an order to beat him to death. So Haridas Thakur was taken to 21 marketplaces and was beaten up with the whip. Okay, so he did not take it as a dishonor. It's very difficult. So that's why we have to get to these qualities, we have to follow a process, because it makes him dear to Krishna. This is Amrish Maharaj. Amrish Maharaj was a pure devotee of Krishna. He was a king. When we say we don't have time to chant Hare Krishna, but he was a king. And king has greater responsibilities than a common person, right? But he was a devotee, staunch devotee of Krishna. He was actually engaged in all the 9 processes of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, everything. So this Mr. Durvasa Muni, he became very envious of the king. That how can a king be a better devotee than me? I am a Brahmana. I know how to chant the Vedic mantras, so I should be better than the king. So envy is such a bad quality. So it was a day of Dwadashi. He just showed up with his 60,000 disciples at the palace of the king, Amrish Maharaj. And it was a time for the Ekadashi Parayan, or completing the Ekadashi fast by accepting grains. But he showed up and he said, now the etiquette is that the guest has to be fed first before the host can take. So Amrish Maharaj invites Durvasa Muni, please come and have prasadam. This is the time for Parayan, for Ekadashi. He says, yes, I'll come. Let me just take my bath and I'll come. So he goes to take bath, but it takes long. It takes like forever to come back. Now the time to break the fast is running out. So Amrish Maharaj consults his priest that what should I do, because he's not coming back and the time is running out and it's Dwadashi. So the priest tell him that, Maharaj, you have not even had a drop of water for the whole Ekadashi. Then why don't you drink 1 drop of water? Because drop of water is not a grain. And your promise of not eating anything before you feed the guest is also not broken. So he drinks the drop of water, and Amrish, this Durvasa Muni, because of his mystical powers, can see that Amrish Maharaj drank a drop of water. There he comes, angry. You claim yourself to be such a big king. You drag something. Don't you know that you're supposed to offer something to your guest before you take something? You are so sinful. I am going to kill you right now. So he takes 1 hair from his head and makes this demon and orders this demon to kill Amrish Maharaj. Amrish Maharaj is such a nice devotee. Vaishnava Aparad is a mad elephant, Madahati, or mad elephant offense. If somebody offends the Vaishnava, then they're actually burning their own house and sitting in their house. So the whole devotional service gets destroyed. So he's offending a pure devotee, right? So, but he does not defend, because he could have defended, he could have reverted the curse, but he does not, because he accepts this as a arrangement of Krishna. That is the level of surrender that he has. And then Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. Krishna is not going to tolerate any offense to his pure devotees. So Krishna sends his Sudarshan Chakra to chop off the head of Durvasa Muni. The Sudarshan Chakra is running, and now he sees, oh, Sudarshan Chakra is coming. He's so powerful. He goes to Lord Shiva in Kailash. How many of us in problem can go to Kailash? Yes. You have a problem, just put your 1 foot and go to Kailash. Yes. How many of us can do that?
No one.
No one can do that. So he's so powerful, he goes there and then he requests Lord Shiva that please free me. Lord Shiva says, this is Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra, that's not under my domain of activity. So he goes to Brahma, and Brahma says the same thing, Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra, I can't do. Maybe you go to Lord Vishnu. He actually goes to Lord Vishnu. He goes to Ma Vishnu. And Vishnu says, you see, I can only reward this Sudarshan Chakra in 1 condition: if my devotee forgives you. You have to ask for forgiveness because you have offended. And if you can't, then your death is certain. Then you have to die. That is best for you then. That will save you from not offending anyone in future. So he now understands that how powerful a Vaishnava is. So he comes back and then he lies down in front of Amrish Maharaj and asks for forgiveness. And of course, Amrish Maharaj is not taking any dishonor and he forgives. Then the Sudarshan Chakra is reverted. That's the power of a true devotional service. He who follows this Krishna, he who follows this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engages himself with faith, making me the supreme goal, is very, very dear to me. So if anyone is actually following this path of devotional service, which is imperishable, and is engaged in Krishna consciousness with faith, and faith comes with knowledge and conviction, and knowledge comes by following a particular parampara. Okay, if your goal of life is Krishna, then you're very, very dear to Krishna. Under any circumstances, maybe we may have done so many sinful misdeeds in the past, or there's so many sinful activities waiting in the future, or reactions waiting, doesn't matter. Krishna, we still become dear to Krishna. This is Bilva Mangal. Bilva Mangal was a devotee of Krishna, which had raised himself to Bhav Bhakti platform in the previous birth. But somehow or other he couldn't complete. So he, in his next birth, he was called as Bilva Mangal, and not Thakur at that point. So he was born in a Brahmana family, right? So Shrutanam Shrimnatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashta Sanjayate. So Krishna answers in 6th chapter that if somebody is not able to complete the devotional process of devotional service, then they have 3 destinations, and one of the 3 destinations is to take birth in a very Suchi family, very pious family. That's what happened to Bilva Mangal. He took birth in a very pious family. But he was somehow attached to this girlfriend of his, very attached. So one day it was a very stormy night, a lot of hurricane, and his girlfriend thought that today Bilva Mangal is not coming. So it was late in the night, and it was such a stormy night, and the trees were falling everywhere, and it was such a bad wind and flooding and raining, and it was bad, thundering. But after what she does, she turns off the lamp and she goes to rest. But after some time, there was a knock on the door, so she goes and she opens the door, and there's Bilva Mangala standing out there. So she asks him, "How did you get here? It's so hard. The weather is so bad." Then he explains, "Oh, somehow or other, I finished the Shraddha ceremony of my father, and then I swam in the river, grabbing onto a dead body, and then I ran through the forest, and then I took the tail of a snake and used it as a rope to climb your wall because the gate is closed, and then here I am." So she says, "My God, such big endeavors you took to see me. If you had taken such endeavor to see Krishna, then your life would have been different." So she's speaking like that, right? We hear from each other, but we don't become like Bilva Mangala. He immediately gave up his attachment after hearing this instruction from her, and immediately started for Vrindavan the same night. So it is said that it is because he had a spiritual master in the previous life. So his spiritual master was speaking through his girlfriend, that you are actually misdirected. Your endeavor is misdirected. Bring yourself back, put yourself together, and go to Krishna again. Do the same thing for Krishna. So then he is walking to Vrindavan. Now he's in a sadhu dress, right? He understands that I have to become Krishna conscious. But then there's some attachment to the woman. You see, Prabhupada explains it in such a manner. If you have a ceiling fan in your house, you turn out the switch of the ceiling fan. Does the fan turns off like immediately, or it takes some time for the momentum to go away? How does the fan turn off? Takes some time, right?
It takes some time.
Right. So he's not. Thank you. So similarly, Bilva Mangala was taking time to get rid of the anarthas. So when he was walking to Vrindavan, looking like this, there was a lady that he saw. So now he started following that lady, and then she was running in front. So she actually immediately ran into her house. She was a married lady, and the husband was sitting on the patio of the house, the veranda. So now he's standing outside the house and looking. And then this husband comes and talks to Bilva Mangal that Swamiji is looking like a saint, right? Is there any way I can serve you? He's also a saintly person. He said, "Yes, I want to talk to that lady." So he goes inside and tells his wife that this particular saintly person wants to see you. Please come outside. So she's also a chaste woman. She follows what her saintly husband is saying. So she comes out, and then he sees the lady, Bilva Mangala, and this time he says to the lady as mother. He addresses her as mother. He says, "Mother, do you have a hairpin?" You know, some ladies put pins in the hair, right? So she's asking, "Do you have a hairpin?" She says, "Yes, can you give it to me?" So she gives it to him, and then he says, "I was on my way to become Krishna conscious. And I again got attracted to something which is not related to Krishna. And it is all because of the result of these eyes. So he pokes his eyes and becomes blind. Because if I don't want to be attracted to something else, so I'm sorry I did this. We should not do that. Don't copy it, because then we'll not become very dear. We'll become actually opposite reaction. He was on a Bhav Bhakti platform, so he could do that, voluntarily take up the austerity, and then he became Krishna conscious, and then he's called Bilwa Mangal Thakur, and we offer prayers to Bilwa Mangal Thakur. We sing prayers of Bilwa Mangal Thakur, and Krishna himself was coming every day to hear the prayers of Krishna, what he's singing. Because Krishna is Atmaram, right? So he enjoys whatever is said about himself, about him by his pure devotees. So completely engaged in the service of Krishna. This is what we did today. Bhakti over impersonalism, which is better? Krishna answers that bhakti is better than impersonalism. And then Krishna describes the progressive stages of devotion, that if someone can't do the practice of first is Ananya Bhakti, give your mind to me and intelligence to me. But if someone can't do that, then do Sadhana Bhakti. Someone can't follow the rules and regulation of Bhakti, then do Nishkam Karma Yoga, like work for me. If someone can't do that, then okay, do Sakam Karma, but give up the activities of the results of your activities, but you can work. And if someone can't work for Krishna, then they can cultivate knowledge, but better than knowledge is dhyana, but better than dhyana is giving up the results of one's activity. So that way he shows us the progressive stages of devotion. Then he gives us the list of the qualities that one endears one to Krishna. Sama, Shatrucha, Mitrecha, similar, equipoised, similarly disposed to Shatru and Mitra, because the aim is to become dear to Krishna and not to become dear to a friend or an enemy. Okay, the aim is different. So I'm going to actually put up an appeal for Radha Govinda that what can we do for Krishna? This is an opportunity for us to do something for Krishna. So Radha Govinda temple is not, there's no temple yet. They're living in a rented apartment, not apartment, rented house since 2006, so 15 years. Yes, I was there when this happened. But by Krishna's mercy, we got a land. We purchased the land for the 1.5 acre land for making the temple. And last month we had the Bhumi Puja, the worship of the land, to make the temple. Now each one of us can take part in some way or the other to bring out this temple for Radha Govinda. But first of all, we have to feel a need. Do you feel a need to have an organization where we are taught about these scriptural injunctions with their practical application? Do you feel a need? Do you feel?
Yes, Mataji.
Like this?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a great need of the human society, right? The immediate need that, okay, we are opening so many universities and colleges to open technical education, but where is this place where you can have a spiritual education? So that's one of the 7 purposes of ISKCON. When Prabhupada established ISKCON, he gave 7 purposes. And one of the purposes is that ISKCON temple is not supposed to be just a ritualistic place. Yes, we have that too. We have that, our Narad Pancharartika Vidhi and Archana Marg. But there is a Vidhi, and there is a Vidhi Marg, but there is also an educational aspect. Okay, which is greater, which is 75% is educational aspect. So we all can become a part of this Hare Krishna. I know all the devotees here. This is Namanishta Prabhu, and Understand Gita in 18 days is his brainchild. If he wouldn't have started the program, then I wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be here. Because I'm practicing this for 19 years, but I never did this forever in 19 years, where you sit and, I don't know, have you had an experience something like that, where you sit every single day to hear about Krishna from someone that you don't even know? Yes, do you have that experience? But you hear, you
No,
still come because there's so much of faith. Anyhow, so we are all indebted to Namanishta Prabhu in many, many ways. So we must show our gratitude. These are our deities, Radha Govinda. So we can serve in many ways. You can serve in, today is Dashera, right? So happy Dashera. Very good day to do some charity for Krishna. Krishna doesn't need it actually, because if I don't do a donation, the temple will still come up because it's Krishna's desire. But if I do it, then I purchase Krishna. And Krishna says, oh, this person did something for me, so now you come to me. Anyhow, so there are different services available. We can sponsor 1 brick at the temple, 2 brick, 5 brick, 10 bricks. If you're in India, then this is a link to pay your donation, and you will get the receipt, which is tax deductible. So when you file your taxes, you can show it, and it's 100% deductible in your taxes in India. Or if someone is more willing, Krishna gave them more, then they can give more back to Krishna, then they can sponsor a square foot, 5,000 rupees, or 2 square foot, 5 square foot, or 10 square foot. Or this is one of my favorite things, the life membership. Prabhupada started this program in 1960s to become a life member of ISKCON. So what happens is that one enrolls in this program, then they get an identity card, which includes the entire family, the dependent children, the dependent parents. And with that card, the card is valid in all the ISKCON temples all over the globe, not just in India. So 3 days stay in a guest house is given free anywhere. You go to Paris, you go to Paris Ishwara, Paris Ishwara, and they have a guest house, you can live there. You go to West Virginia, you can live there for 3 days in a year. They charge you just a very menial fee for cleaning, but it's nothing compared to the facility. And also we get the book set, the entire Bhagavatam set, the entire book library of Srila Prabhupada with chanting beads, and on our auspicious, like on a birthday or something, the worship to the deities is done on behalf of the life patron. The amount payable is 35,555, and this is one-time payment only, and it's good for life. And it can be paid over 1 year without interest. If someone has more, then they can do Dharma Karta Seva, which is 1,08,000 rupees for the establishment of temple, and they will get their name engraved on the Hall of Fame, the Wall of Fame, not Hall, Wall of Fame. And they will be invited for Pratisthapana Yagya when the temple construction starts. If someone has more, then they can, and they also get free life membership, the Dharma Karta. So is Dharma Adhikari, where one can give more, 2,70,000 rupees, which can be paid over 3 years. If someone has more and they can give more, then you can be a Mukhya Dharma Adhikari, which is 5,40,000, and you get all these benefits, which I explained before. Or Mahamukhya Adhikari, which is 10,80,000. So all these services we can do for Krishna. Or if we can't do that, then at least become a servant of Krishna. Join us in propagating Krishna consciousness. There is so much need. You see, Kartik Prabhu, I'm so indebted to him, who is sitting with all of us here. He came to us in August last year. Was it August, Kartik Prabhu, through this program?
Yes, Mataji. August was the one I attended your program first, actually.
Oh, you attended my class? Okay.
Yes, 3 p.m. is my favorite time, actually. 3 p.m. is the...
Oh, okay. So see, he came to us from August 2020, so more than a year. And he's serving Radha Govinda so nice way. He's one of the best devotees we have in our team with so many services. So there is so much avenues to serve. So come along and you'll be happy. And if somebody is not living in India, then you can request to me and Namanish Prabhu, namadas@gmail.com. I'll share all this in the WhatsApp group. Or you can email me as well for the non-resident Indian devotees for direction of how to donate for the temple. And then there is this Nitya Seva, 1 day worship of the deities, rupees 500, or Nitya Sarvadeva, the whole 5 offerings of the deities for 1,000, or 1 month of Dhupa Seva of 2,000 rupees. Kshira Nevedya, 1 month of offering sweet to Krishna. Krishna eats sweets 3 times a day. Once is at 3:30 in the morning when we wake the deities up. We have to wake them up with the sweet. Then in the afternoon when we give the Rajbhog. In the evening offering also we put the sweet, but definitely in the night with milk and sweet when we put with Krishna to bed. Okay, so our whatever we can do, let's do, because that will be one of the purchasing prices to become Krishna conscious.